All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to tonight's election coverage. We're bringing to you live election coverage as usual tonight here at Elections Daily. With us tonight, we got Joe Szymanski, our head of our elections team, and Dylan Brown, who is a contributor here at Elections Daily and does podcasts for us. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw it to Joe here. What are we looking at tonight? What are the races we're following? Give us a rough idea of what's going on tonight, because they're noticing some pretty interesting races.
Yeah, so two Midwestern states are the key focus tonight. Polls have just closed in both Minnesota and Wisconsin. I'll start with Wisconsin. Obviously, Wisconsin, the big race tonight is that Republican primary for governor. It seems as though Rebecca Kleefisch and Tim Michels are the two top candidates by polling and metrics, of course. Michels is the Trump endorsement. Kleefisch is Scott Walker's former lieutenant governor, so of course has his endorsement, as well as the endorsement of former Vice President Mike Pence. This is very much a growing typical battle we've seen in Wisconsin in these Republican primaries between the Waukesha, Washington, and Okaze, I believe. I can't pronounce these county names, but the WOW counties in Wisconsin, and we're seeing in Kenosha these kind of more suburban Republicans where the base has generally been in Wisconsin before recently, and then Michels trying to take in some of the new land in the old Iron Belt driftless land areas kind of up to the east. You go towards Eau Claire, kind of the western part of the state where there's a growing number of Republican voters. That'll be the thing to see tonight. If Kleefisch wins those WOW counties around Wisconsin relatively by a big margin, it would probably be enough to potentially cover her in the rest of the state. However, polling has basically shown these two statistically tied in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So we're kind of sort of flying blind. We believe it's going to be a close race, but we're kind of flying blind in regard to this race tonight. And then in Minnesota, we're watching the first district special election tonight to replace the Jim Hajdorn, who passed away from kidney cancer in the middle of this cycle. This is the general election. We held the primary. What was, I think, about 2 months ago now, in early June, I believe, was when this primary is held. The candidates there are Brad Finstad for the Republicans and Jeff Ettinger, for Democrats. This is a weird seat in which it's it's actually one of the remaining seats in this country where it is arguably more Democratic down ballot than up ballot. Trump won here by 10 points, but Rep. Hajdorn only won by 3 points in his re-election bid in 2020. So it's kind of hard to necessarily kind of give ourselves a baseline for this race, what's impressive and what's not. While maybe a Finstad by, let's say, 10-point margin of victory wouldn't move that far away from Trump's, it would bring kind of that down ballot lag that we've seen in this seat up to it, but however, doesn't really tell us anything different about the environment we're currently facing. Republicans are probably hoping for a Finstad plus 15 or better victory here if they really want to say, hey, the red wave is definitely still going here. Here's a result to kind of show that pathway.
A couple things I would also note with that race is that there's two marijuana party candidates on the ballot. There's the Green Party and the Marijuana Party. Minnesota's uniquely bad for Democrats in this regard because they have not one but two pro-marijuana parties that gobble up pretty sizable chunks of the vote. Minnesota actually has for a long time liked third-party candidates up until recently, gubernatorial candidates. The Independence Party usually got about 10% of the vote, 7 to 15%. They actually won a race under that. Yet Chessie Ventura, they even won county still in 2002 with Tim Penny, former Democratic congressman from the 1st District. One other thing I mentioned in Wisconsin is that while polls have been close, in the past, polls have underestimated the WOW counties in terms of the Republican electorate. We would expect Rebecca Kleefisch, who is the favorite of the Milwaukee Republican establishment, the Scott Walkers of the world, to do really well in these counties, to do pretty well in the Milwaukee suburbs where a lot of Republicans live, and for the Trump endorsed Tim Michels to do better throughout the rest of the state. In 2018, that was enough for Leah Vukmir to win that nomination, even though she lost the general. We'll see if the same thing is here tonight. Both of them are credible candidates, of course, but I think if you're a Wisconsin Republican, you're probably rooting for Kleefisch because of that Walker connection, which carries a lot of weight in the state. Walker did fundamentally change sort of the politics of the state of Wisconsin in many ways.
Yeah, that's.
But while we're here, let's go over. Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
But while we're here, let's kind of go over what's happened in Vermont so far. We weren't really covering the Vermont race, but I do want to talk about this just because it is pretty interesting. Some of the primaries going on in Vermont. Obviously, Peter Welch won the Democratic primary. He didn't really have any real opposition. On the Republican side, it's a fairly close race right now between Gerald Malloy and Christina Nolan. This is a safe Democratic seat. Nolan would not make this a competitive race, but she is the favorite of Vermont Republican establishment. She's more moderate, much more in line with what Vermont Republicans would have liked to run 20 years ago statewide, the sort of candidate who maybe in 2006 could have lost by 10%. On the House side, is that literal Rhino Republican still leading?
Or is he's going to win. He's up by 11 points with about 40% of the vote in.
Yeah, he's running on a very liberal ticket. If Molly Gray were the nominee, there's a reasonable chance he'd be to the left of her. However, in the at-large race, it's not Molly Gray ahead. It is Becca Balint. The race has been called for her. She is the Sanders-endorsed candidate. Dylan will want to talk about this, but Molly Gray chose an unusual campaign strategy in the state of Vermont. What did she decide to do here? What was her clever strategy for winning an election in Vermont?
So she thought, I have a great idea. I'm going to run against marijuana legalization, and I'm going to say we don't want more Bernie Sanders in Vermont.
And it seems like a poor choice.
Yes, and she ran as qualified immunity abolishment skeptical. I actually don't think it's controversial to say that the Republican would have been to the left of her if it had been that race.
Yep.
I mean, I'm surprised at how liberal his platform is. Aside from some anti-mandate stuff, it looks like what you would see from a standard center-left progressive.
Well, he's all. Don't forget the very pro-gun, the relatively pretty pro-gun.
Oh, that's fair.
And one thing I do want to mention here is that Vermont has an open race for Lieutenant Governor. Molly Gray's the current Lieutenant Governor. She won election in 2020 by a surprisingly narrow margin, under 10%. Vermont still likes Republican governors and lieutenant governors, and she was coming off of David Zuckerman, who got utterly pulverized in his gubernatorial nomination for the Progressive Party. Zuckerman is back, and he's running for another term as lieutenant governor. Right now, he's leading with by about 4% of the vote over Kitty Toll. Zuckerman is running as a Democrat, I believe. I'm not sure if he's running with the Progressive Party nomination this time. But the Progressive Party is versus third party in Vermont. I'm going to check this real quick because this could actually be interesting. So Zuckerman has some weird issues. He is anti-vax. He is very, very, very progressive, but in like a very hippie way that's kind of uncomfortable to some voters. I would not be surprised if Zuckerman is the nominee again. This is a competitive race at minimum. Republicans seem to be not. Joe Benning is the current leading candidate here. He's not. He's a current state senator in Vermont. By default, that's a pretty good sign. Having won an election in Vermont as a Republican, that's a pretty challenging thing to do. But I'm going to check here again just to make sure, because if Zuckerman is running as just with the Progressive Party nomination and he loses, that could be a potential problem if they're running as a separate nomination.
I can't imagine there are many Zuckerman or bust voters.
The thing is, the Progressive Party is actually pretty viable in Vermont, and they have nominees, of course, that have won, without the support of the Democratic Party. There's been ones that run alongside the Democratic Party.
Oh, sure.
And there's one, So it's interesting to look at least. I'm going to try to find the actual Vermont election website here, but let's go back up while I look at that and go back to some of these races. They're actually a little bit more important. I don't know when we're going to be expecting to get results from Minnesota. They're going to apparently be announcing this county by county, which is kind of unusual.
That's
correct. I'm not necessarily against that. That's not, as long as they're doing it promptly, that's not actually a horrible idea, I don't think. But it's definitely not what we're used to.
I was going to say, are they going to follow the Arizona method? Because
if they're following the UK method, I'm absolutely fine with it.
The UK counts their votes pretty promptly.
Yep. So Zuckerman is not running for the Progressive Party nomination, but he could win it as a write-in. I could assume he could reject that nomination if he loses, and the Progressive Party would just not be fielding a candidate for lieutenant governor, or would be cross-endorsing the Democratic nomination. Either one. There's 108 write-ins right now, 108 blank votes on the Progressive slate. Take that as you will. But yeah, they usually cross endorse, and I think they're also running a candidate for the for governor, which could potentially be a little bit tricky. Right now, of course, Phil Scott is
nothing's going to change there. Let's be
Yeah.
very blunt with that.
we have that race at safe Republican. Phil Scott has 66% of the vote. Pretty typical. He's going to win this thing, and he's going to win it by a very, very, very large margin because this is still a state that is, like a lot of New England, that loves their moderate Republican governors. And unlike a lot of other ones, Phil Scott can point to actual legislative victories for Republicans because Democrats do not solely have a filibuster-proof do they not have a singular veto-proof majority in the House? I think they do if you add it.
I think by like technicality, I believe because of independents caucusing with them.
If you assume the Progressive Party and those independents all vote with Democrats on every issue, yes, they would have it. But the actual party does not have that, and it's a very narrow one.
And it seems to be with the way that Scott is trying. He has tried a little bit harder this year while he is not personally campaigning. He has tried a little bit harder. It seems this year to try and tilt some of these down ballot races a little bit, trying to show his hand a little bit. I think getting Benning to run for lieutenant governor with Zuckerman back in is clearly something that is at least kind of his work there. It should be remembered that Scott that's the career path he followed. He was a moderate state senator who became lieutenant governor, who eventually ran for governor and won. So, he's clearly trying, I think, at this point to at least see if he can get Benning in to see if he can kind of find a line of succession there potentially if he wants to end his time here soon enough. But it seems that he's also trying to track down ballot as well a little bit this year, trying to see if he can actively knock out that supermajority and take at least some of these Democrats and maybe some of the independents potentially down for Republican candidates, and then potentially in that regard get an actual just Democratic caucus majority there instead of the supermajority in one of the two state legislative bodies.
And I just remembered, I actually made a map for this race. Do you want to see the map for the Vermont lieutenant governor election? Because I actually mapped all of Vermont by township quite a while back. I did some of these races in particular when I was doing New England. So see if I can pull this up here. There we go. Yep, this is the lieutenant governor election last time. I'm going to actually just push our faces over to the side so you can see the whole thing here. Obviously, Republicans only lost this by 7 points. That's really respectable. That is a really, really good margin. For Republicans, Scott Milne was the Republican candidate here. He ran for governor in 2014, nearly won in an upset that year. Molly Gray, narrowly won. But you'll notice the Republican strength around Rutland, which is that one county in southern Vermont, and then around the Northeast Kingdom and some of the northern areas. So this is what I would probably expect to be pretty similar to a result if we're going to happen. But we never really know. In comparison, Phil Scott, he absolutely obliterated. And I'm going to pull this up right here so you can see the township results because it's an interesting map because he won virtually everything in Vermont. And we're kind of stalling for time here while we wait for these results, but I do think this is interesting. This is Phil Scott. Zuckerman won, I believe, 3 towns in Vermont. You'll notice there are a lot of towns in Vermont, and he won 3 of them. Actually, he won 4 of them because he won Burlington, I think. So he won 4 towns. The problem is Vermont has a lot of them. He lost by 41% here, presidential year. He ran with the Progressive and Democratic nominations. I have them in blue because the Progressive Party is annoyingly also red. But yeah, that's we expect Phil Scott to win by a very large margin. So this is safe Republican. The lieutenant governor, if we ranked it, I would think that'd be leans Democratic, assuming Benning is the nominee and Zuckerman is the Democrat. We have results. We have the first results coming in from according to DDHU, our first results in from Wisconsin. Pull up the screen here. This is from one of the northern counties in Wisconsin. This is from Ashland County, Republican trending county, very ancestrally Democratic.
That would be interesting. If those aren't test results, that's very interesting.
Yeah, this is saying that 99% of the vote is in, and Cleefish has a 5-point lead here. So if this is indeed the case, and this is the actual result, I would think this would be a problem. I'm going to go back and check here just to make sure. 2018.
While you're checking that, I do think Phil Scott might be the only popular Republican governor who could run as a write-in and win, even if they lost the primary. I don't even think Charlie Baker could do that.
Yeah. So here's what it is last time. Last time, this was a narrow Nicholson County. last time. That was the outlet. So you'll notice the outstate. What I was talking about earlier with his Vukmir was the favorite of the WoW county. She won by very large margins in all those 4 counties, Milwaukee as well as the surrounding suburbs. Won very little else in the rest of the state, but she lost Ashland County. This is just one side. This is still a closer county in that comparison here. But I would not be that thrilled with that result if I were Tim Michaels. This is actually if there's actually 99% of the vote in there, that would be a bit of a problem.
More results.
Wood County.
Yep, we got him.
Wood County, again, last time this is a strong Nicholson County. This is only narrowly going for Michaels.
By about 5 points.
I don't want to...
Same margin that Ashland went.
Yeah, I don't want to make any judgments here off the bat, but I do want to say that, again, this is a county that last time Nicholson did very well in as the out-of-state candidate, and right now Michaels is only winning it by 5. Take that as you will, but I would not be thrilled. Just from these early results, I would not be thrilled if I was the Michaels campaign. This is not... you probably want to see your winning action.
I want to say that seems to be early vote in Wood, so we'll see. Again, let's remember election day vote. Let's remember how it's gone. But if that's kind of a similar margin, if that margin, if that about 5-point margin holds for Michaels and Wood, that doesn't necessarily track super well for him.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
Mandela Barnes, no surprise at 78% in his.
And I will want to say that DDHQ has called that race for Barnes. Unsurprisingly, he was basically left unopposed. In these,
but they've also called, of course, for Ron Johnson, the 2-term senator.
That's the race. That's the race as we've expected it.
Yeah, we are also oddly enough following the race in the 63rd district, the Republican primary. House Speaker Robin Vos has angered Trump and is being challenged by Adam Steen, who is a election denier who wants to outlaw contraception. So we'll see how that goes.
So I was really stupid last week and thought Robin Vos was the speaker in Michigan.
No. Robin Vos is basically the leader of the state of Wisconsin for most intensive purposes. What I would also mention again is Steen wants to outlaw contraception. He does not want to make it possible to outlaw contraception. He wants to outlaw contraception. That is insanely unpopular, to put it lightly.
So those Ashland County results have been taken down.
Ooh, they moved those to Milwaukee.
Come in and Cleefish leads there in that early vote. Okay, that's the
by about 2 points.
By about 2 points, Milwaukee. Okay, here we go. We're starting to see 9% of the vote in.
Question, because I don't know these results super well. Is that underwhelming?
That would probably be underwhelming for Cleefish if that is the case. Let me go back and look at I'm going to open up the primary and Dave Leop, his election atlas, which is kind of the Bible for these election results in a lot of ways.
The way you were describing the coalitions, that seems underwhelming.
Yes, that would be probably underwhelming. Last time, Vukmir won this by 33 percentage points, so that would be less than ideal. Yes. For comparison, the Wood County went for Nicholson by 20 points. So yeah, I would not be. That would actually be pretty bad if.
Sorry, my cat has decided that I'm on camera, so she must come visit.
Oh, good. We like cats here. So we have 2 counties so far reporting some results. Wood County with a narrow Michaels lead and Milwaukee County with a narrow Cleefish lead.
Somebody in the chat asks, who do we think would have been stronger, Mike Gallagher or Ron Johnson?
Gallagher probably, but Johnson is a people
Johnson's
overrate how. No, he's not bad. People dislike him for political reasons, but he has a pretty firm grip on this race right now. Mandela Barnes is not a great candidate. Gallagher would probably be better, but as an incumbent, Johnson has a lot of credibility with voters. He won twice against Russ Feingold. That's not an easy feat. Again, for comparison, Tim Michaels lost by 11% in 2004 running against him, while Bush only narrowly lost the state.
Yeah, and let me clarify: Russ Feingold or not Russ Feingold. Ron Johnson is bad, but not electorally.
Yeah, John. I mean, I Gallagher seems to being saved right now. I think for that 2024 race against Tammy Baldwin. At least that's what it seems like to me right now. It seems like Baldwin is being saved for that race right there. So it looks like we have an up. More results come in.
Where are they from?
Sauk County, where Michaels leads 50-40, about 19% in. The People's Republic of Madison, i.e. Dane County, where Cleafish has a slight lead, and Jefferson County, where Michaels leads 53-34.
New York Times, for what it's worth, is only reporting 3 counties. They're reporting Winnebago, Wood, and La Crosse, and they have all 3 of those going to Michaels by differing margins. Winnebago by 19%, Wood by 3%, and La Crosse by 29%. For comparison, La Crosse in 2018 was a Nicholson plus 9 county. Winnebago was, where is Winnebago? Yeah. Winnebago in 2019 was a Nicholson plus 12 county, and Wood, of course, was a Nicholson plus 30 county for comparison last time. Oh. So we're getting differing data sets here, basically.
Okay. Where's that vote from? Oh, okay. So, Dylan.
Yes.
Obviously, usually the member of the squad who's been most endangered has been Ilhan Omar. Obviously, of course.
Yes, she is facing
we have some of the early results here out of Hennepin County, and Omar only leads by about 7.5 points out of that first drop out of Hennepin County. She's currently up. She's also pretty heavily down in the new part of Anoka County that it took in, which is not a surprise. In that regard, she's down 64-34.
Where?
Yeah, according to DDHQ says she's up 7% right now. Here, I'll paste you the link here in the private chat.
Thank you. I'm using one of the DDHQ links, but obviously not the correct one.
Yeah, they have Ilhan Omar up by about 7% right now, which is...
okay. No, I had the right link. I was just being stupid.
It happens to the best of us.
Okay, no, that is interesting. I don't think Ilhan Omar's in any danger. She's been endorsed by, I think, everyone except the mayor of Minneapolis.
Well, a couple of other local mayors didn't endorse her either.
Did they? Okay. The only one I heard about was Jacob Frey.
Yeah, that was, if you read the article on that, there was an article written about that. If you read that, it's mentioned that other mayors from the Hennepin County area had also endorsed Don Samuels.
Yeah, I don't expect her to be in much danger. She had a substantial fundraising lead. There was not as much of a concerted effort to get her out as there was in 2020. And Don Samuels has some baggage that I think makes him a weaker candidate than what was the other guy's name? Miller Mew?
Yeah. Well, he had some issues too. He had some connections to conservative groups.
Oh, no, he had issues, certainly, but he didn't have to pay out damages to a family for negligence.
Oh, that's fun.
So, and like not small damages, like $400,000 in damages, I think.
All right. So, looking elsewhere right now, Brad Finstead, not in the special election, but in the regular election primary, Jeremy Munson was the only one who stayed in that race. He is pretty heavily creaming Munson, 81 to 81.7 to 18.2 right now in that race. So unsurprisingly, Finson, no matter what happens tonight, will be heading back to Congress in that regards tonight. Well, he'll be heading back to the general in that regards. Back to it. Oh, wow. There's no way that's not test results. You guys translate back to the Eric. Are you seeing these Wisconsin results?
Yeah. Which one in DDHQ?
Yes, DDHQ. You might want to look at them right now.
Yep, I'm moving over to it. I was updating the Twitter real quick.
DDHQ.
Yes. Oh, it's the Waukesha. Yeah.
Yeah, they added Winnebago.
These seem really weird. The Ozaki, I doubt Cleefish is up by 87% in Ozaki, and I doubt she's only up by 2 in Waukesha.
Well, no, I think Waukesha's real. I think Ozaki is not. I think Waukesha's real.
Yeah, and New York Times is reporting that. Ooh, that'd be pretty bad for Cleefish. But the Ozaki numbers, those don't seem accurate. That's very underwhelming. Or that would be very overwhelming in Ozaki and very underwhelming in Waukesha.
Yeah, that would not be a excellent result there at all. That's for sure.
Well, it'd be really confusing. It wouldn't make sense for her to be up by 85% in Ozaki. That's almost certainly test result. If she's only up by 2 in Waukesha, this thing is probably pretty close to over. She'd need to be performing much better in the rest of the state than she's doing right now. I mean, she's not doing terribly again in places like Wood, so we need a C. But yeah, this is pretty odd.
She actually gained in lacrosse an election day vote, it looks like. She's only down 48. According to the time, she's now only down 48-41 in lacrosse. So that's interesting in itself.
This may be a more evenly divided. This may be a less divided regionally election than we had anticipated, if that's the case.
Yeah, we'll see. Because the Times has Michaels only up by 7 in lacrosse, which that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to check NPR as well. Yeah, NPR has up by 2 in Waukesha and up by 0.5% in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that seems right. That's tracking.
Yeah, so that does seem real, which would be very, very bad news for Cleefish. No one else is reporting the Ozaki numbers. Those are almost certainly test results.
Yeah, those are test results for sure.
Yeah. Somebody asked, does Cleefish have any chance? It's
sure. We don't.
early.
Election results change.
It's 3% in only a couple counties. It is way too early to say she doesn't have a chance.
Yeah. Don't get overexcited, folks. Don't jump the gun.
Yeah.
Yep. Here we go. Yeah, we're getting additional. New York Times again has her up. Has Michaels up about 5% right now, with Dane County, Waukesha, Milwaukee for Cleefish, and then Fond du Lac, Winnebago, Wood,
Eau Claire. That's the big one.
Eau Claire, La Crosse, and Sauk counties in for Michaels. But yeah, these margins are a lot less extreme than they were in 2018, at least so far in the WOW counties.
That's for sure.
And on the Senate, again, going back to Vermont just real quick, Malloy is not by 8% over Christina Nolan, 57% of the vote in. Minnesota first. Oh, that's a Republican primary. Yeah, that's
the Republican primary. I don't believe the special is on DDHQ, sadly. So I've got it watching on the Times. Don't worry. I am certainly got eyes on that result.
It's a bad day for the anti-Bernie Sanders Vermonters, all 5 of them.
5 of them. All five of them. We went there today, I guess.
I mean, Vermont is a weird state where the 2 most popular people in it, the 2 most popular politicians are
Eric.
A Democratic Socialist.
Yep.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you here. Waukesha dropped more results. Cleefish's lead is now up to 5%. over Michaels,
Okay.
and has actually put her back in the lead actually overall
Interesting.
in this primary. So that's interesting to see herself right there.
Yeah, I have to feel like she'd want better margins, I would think.
Have something, Dylan?
No, I thought you said Milwaukee County, but you said Waukesha.
I did say Waukesha. At least I hope I said Waukesha.
I don't know why I immediately went to Milwaukee and saw she was still only up by 2% there.
Yeah.
Margin closed in Minnesota 5. Interesting.
Did it really?
I don't know. I'm checking. That's what somebody in the chat said.
Oh, it did. Oh my God.
No, it extended from what I can see.
No. It definitely closed. The Times has it closed.
Which one?
DDHQ does not have it closed. DDHQ still has Ilhan Omar up by a little bit more, it looks like.
The Times have had it closed. The Times only has her up 51 to 47.5.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
That would be a really interesting upset.
The thing is, she is clearly there were a lot of voters in 2020 that voted for Joe Biden. She was the worst performing Democrat relative to the presidential ticket nationwide. She ran double digits behind Joe Biden. People kind of attribute that to the marijuana candidate. I think she's genuinely just facing popularity issues in this district.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. She has both rightly and wrongly gotten a lot of criticism. And I don't think she's always helped her case very much. I was very loudly beating the drum about her issues in 2020. So I'm not shocked by the result. I think what I'm more shocked by is it didn't come with any preamble. Like, from what I could tell, there really wasn't much of a campaign in either direction. Let me pull up the open secrets.
It's worth noting there was an article that came out earlier this month in the Tablet, earlier last month in the Tablet, that detailed some deteriorating relationships she had with the local Somali community, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see how those areas are voting, but that was certainly something they documented in that piece. So it was kind of a tenuous relationship there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay, fundraising isn't everything.
That's interesting.
I acknowledge.
What's interesting?
But
there's an article
No. So I'm double watching DDHQ The Times, as I always do. And The Times recently updated Brown County. That's with Green Bay. Michael started out with a lead there. Michael started out with a lead there in the first drop. The second drop came in, and that county flipped to Cleefish. We're seeing this track as which, though, the first drops have been maybe slightly favored towards Michael's, and then those drops kind of we've seen it in La Crosse, we've seen it in Wood County. We've seen when Waukesha's gotten slightly more favorable to Cleefish as the second drop came in, and now Brown County has flipped from a start as a Michael's County now to a but DDHQ has Kenosha in. That first drop has Michael's winning Kenosha by 10 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is
this is why we talk about this. This is why this is never ever over quickly. These results are coming in at a much different pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't say anything is certain until we start getting election day numbers.
Well, we don't know.
Sure.
I don't think we know here in Wisconsin. I think that's the problem. I don't think we know.
Is it really that hard for them to just split that? Like, genuinely, I don't know.
Anyway,
DDHQ was now updated the Ilhan Omar race to be also the 51 to 47.5.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, this is just a dreadful performance overall for Ilhan Omar. There's no way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, no, this is a very bad performance for her. Even if she pulls out the victory, I don't know that she survives a third primary, because
this is the one we call where the sharks are in the water.
Yes, the big money
Mhm.
spendings. If she survives this, the big money is going to come in against her next time, and she had a 2-to-1 fundraising lead, basically. If she doesn't have that, I think it's done. I mean, who knows? The rest of the votes could come in and she could end up having won by 12, 13, 14 points.
Apparently, people are looking at the precincts and comparing them to last time, and they are much closer in some of the areas than they were last time. That is what I'm seeing, at least.
Yeah, something's going on here. Something funky's going on.
Yeah, something strange is happening. If she loses, I would be very curious to get like a deep dive article as to why, because she hasn't had many, compared to 2020 when it felt like she was in the news every other week for something. I don't think I've seen a single headline about Ilhan Omar other than Jacob Frey not endorsing her all year.
Uh-huh.
It just doesn't
Again,
feel like
I would again point back to that article I was talking about in the Tablet. This is people kind of discounted, I think, because Tablet is more of a conservative leaning outlet. But they basically went into great detail about her relationship with the Somali community in Minnesota's 5th and the Jewish community. The Somali one in particular was really interesting. There were people that were concerned that the article had mentioned in the community that were not happy with the focus on Israel as an issue, that were unhappy with some of the
All right.
things.
I do have
some that were unhappy
Eric,
she was more culturally liberal than expected. Go right ahead.
Eric, I'm sorry to interrupt you. But we have the first results out of that first district primary. That first district special election in Minnesota. Rock County has dropped some results. Right now, it is a 72-26 lead for Republican Brad Finstead. Donald Trump won this county 68-29.
So this is a little bit of an overperformance then.
So still a little bit of an overperformance there then.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. Where is this?
This is at the very. This is a very Republican county. Rock County. This is we don't show this on. We're not having this on DDHQ. This is
if you go to the state of Minnesota, it's the furthest left, and it's the southwesternmost county in the state of Minnesota.
Oh, the
it's
Republican
on the very
primary.
No, this is the
general election.
This is the special election.
Brad Finstead?
Yeah. Yeah, this is with 72% of the vote.
It's only on the Times. You're gonna have to go to the Times to see it. I'm sorry to say.
Well, DDHQ's website does have a Brad Finstead listed in the Minnesota.
Yes, because he has to run in the concurrent primary for the general
and
election.
He's also at 78% in that.
Yeah, well, I think that's with more in though. I think.
Okay, so can you all see? So this is the county that's showing right now. This is a county that went to Donald Trump with, what did you say? It was 68% of the vote.
But 60, yeah. Let me just double check the 68.4% of the vote.
Yep. So this would be a fairly substantial overperformance. This is so that's how. What was the margin? Well, it's you got to count the actual total shift. So
it's 70. It's basically 73-27 right now.
Yeah, so it's a 46-point margin. What was the totals last time?
60,
Republican and Democrat.
68-20. It's 68-30 in 2020 between Trump and Biden.
So that's a 38-point margin in 2020 versus a 46-point margin in 2022 right now in this county. So that's about a shift of more like 8 points. If I'm calculating that correctly, that would be a shift of 8 points, 7 or 8 points, which would be a shift. That was a Democrat. Again, I don't want to say this holds for the entire thing, but if that were to hold, that'd be about an overperformance of +5, which is probably what we were saying would be the threshold for a pretty decent night for Republicans in the seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to extrapolate this. I'm just saying that's compared to what it was last time.
Yeah, this is one county. So don't want to say yet.
Yep. Oh, definitely don't want to say yet.
All right, so we're still waiting. I will say, as I said, I'm double watching the Times and DDHQ with Wisconsin. We're seeing this continued trend. Jefferson County has now flipped from Michaels to Cleefish after a second drop. So that's very interesting. So we're still watching that tonight. Sauk County narrowed. Wood and La Crosse definitely. This is very interesting how these votes are coming in Wisconsin. These are legitimately interesting how these votes are coming in. DDHQ is now saying that Cleefish leads in Eau Claire County. She's flipped that county, it looks like. This is very interesting how these votes are coming in. How these votes are coming in are very interesting. This is very interesting how these votes are coming in. This is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Joe,
I know. I'm sorry. I know. I'm repeating myself, but it is. This is not. We have not usually seen the votes come in like this. I mean, let's be very blunt here. We have not usually seen the votes come in like this in these primary elections. We don't know what's early vote, what's election day vote. We don't know, and usually that kind of miscreant powder is creating these very weird drops where we don't necessarily know what's coming in from where and what's coming in from how. What's that?
Ilhan Omar is under 51. Ilhan Omar is under 51% of the vote now. 72% reporting. She's up 50.97 to 47.58.
Based on
I think based on that, she's probably going to be okay. But
yeah, that's a very underwhelming performance, though. I think she wins 78%. You said of the vote in, Eric.
Yeah, 72% of the vote in. She's down to 50.97% of the vote right now.
It's going to be tight, but I think she wins narrowly, very narrowly. She really needs to watch out next time.
Now, this has been a more fun night than I originally anticipated. Look at this.
Yep.
Isn't this fun? I'm having a good time already. This is legitimately a very, very interesting night right now.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting night. This is continually fascinating to see come in tonight, just kind of across both Wisconsin and Minnesota right now. This is just continually interesting to see come across my table. That seems weird. So, Eric, I want to hear from you just thought-wise here in Wisconsin. What are you really kind of thinking about right now?
Again, I want to see the margins. I would be leaning towards this being good for Michael so far, but I'm also kind of surprised by those margins in Brown County in particular. I would not have expected that early on. So we're going to have to wait and see here, I would think. But yeah.
And it looks like the Uzaki numbers got fixed. Cleefish is up 4 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's similar to what the rest of them are saying about her performance in the district.
Yeah, that's a really interesting breakdown.
So, yeah, we're watching Wisconsin right now, folks. Tim Michels has about a 1.5 lead, according to DDHQ right now, over former Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Kleefisch. According to DDHQ, of course, this is not according to necessarily other websites, but according to DDHQ, that's really been the key race tonight that we're going to be waiting for on here is this Wisconsin night. Michael's about a 1.5 up over Rebecca Kleefisch at this moment. That could change. It might not change. It could change to expand. It could change to, collapse. But we don't know yet. So we're going to wait and see. I thought that was kind of funny. No one laughed. I thought that was kind of funny the way I delivered that. No one's going to laugh at that. That hurts. And to the folks in the audience, please ask some questions. We want to keep talking here. I want to keep these guys talking. Because if we're not talking, which is just kind of blank screen right now, and not necessarily earning our paycheck.
Oh, I was handling the Twitter. You guys want to handle more often, so.
Okay, well, Dodge County came in. That's pretty bad for Kleefisch. That's a bad number.
Yeah, these are not great results for Kleefisch so far. Again, Michels is probably the weaker candidate here for Republicans, so this is not what they would want to see. Michels, I wouldn't say he's at that much more risk of losing, but he has vulnerabilities that Kleefisch does not have. In particular, he's running on election denial. He's mentioned the possibility of decertifying the election, the 2020 election, among other things, and has some residency issues that could be used against him. So,
that is all true.
We'll be interested to see. Oh, Democrats have made clear they want to run against Michels, so they would have had their wish here if they. I don't think they actually spent on this race, but it's been made pretty apparent they want him to be the nominee. So, we'll see. But I think it's looking pretty good for Michels right now. And then nothing more in from Minnesota so far, aside from that one county that's had results reporting.
Nope. Yeah, right. Yeah, nothing much else to report on right now. This is the slow trickle. So come on, do we have any questions?
Have
any questions? Well, okay. From Isaiah Goodwin here. I'll throw this one to Dylan. Why do you think, and I'll throw it to Eric too, why do you guys think that Rep. Ilhan Omar is currently underperforming tonight?
Well, Eric mentioned the Somali community article. I did read it. I too dismissed it. But maybe that shouldn't have been dismissed. Matthew,
to get more into it, yeah. I'll get more into it when I speak, but yeah, it had some insights that were interesting to read, but I wasn't sure if they were accurate or not.
Right, they seemed very anecdotal. Matthew Tarr mentions that Omar didn't go on TV. I don't know if that's true. I believe that
she's probably got near 100% name ID in that district, I would think. I would be surprised if there's voters in that district that don't know who Ilhan Omar is.
I would also tend to agree with that. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that she didn't go on TV because this is a problem that every progressive campaign seems to have. As far as why she underperformed this year in particular, it's honestly a mystery to me. Don Samuels did not seem to be Don Samuels did not seem to me to be a better candidate than Miller Mew, who ran in 2020. He had less funding. Ilhan Omar was in the news more. She had at the time, a very current scandal going on along with all the other stuff. So that would have struck me as the time she was most vulnerable. I don't know why it's happening right now, other than the Somali community point that Eric's going to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I would mention in particular is one, she has some lingering distrust with progressive voters for some campaign finance scandals she's had. People tend to dismiss those again because a lot of the time, any criticism of Ilhan Omar is kind of reflexively assumed to come from a position of bad faith, I think, to some degree. And I clearly that's not fair to the voters of her district. There's been a lot of voters who have made very clear in the Democratic primaries that they're not huge fans of Ilhan Omar. So the vulnerabilities that mention the Somali community. It's worth noting this district is not majority Somali. It's majority white. White voters are the majority in this district, and the majority in the Democratic primary. That being said, among various things that the Somali community is supposedly had issues with, the focus on Israel is an issue. That's not something they particularly care about too much. They don't like being defined as that being their issue. They want more local issues to be addressed. Another is the fact that she married someone who converted to Islam. She married a Jew who was converted to Islam after marriage. In that community, a lot of the time, marrying outside the faith is not seen as a great thing. That was again mentioned in the article. Reflexively, that kind of seems like a that is a genuine cultural thing. And then finally, I mean, it could just very well be that she's out of step culturally on some issues. She's a lot more progressive than many of those community members probably are. So I don't know. There's a lot of things, and it wouldn't just be that. Again, the Somali community is not a majority in this district. The Jewish community is not a majority in this district. But clearly, there is a chunk of voters in this district who are not happy with Ilhan Omar as their representative. This is such a liberal district, it will not matter in November. But if this were a more competitive seat, like a Democrat plus 4 seat, plus 10, that could be a problem. Thankfully for her, she is representing a very, very, very Democratic district. So the primary really is everything here.
Yeah, there you go, I guess. I remember reading that article. I was intrigued by it. That was interesting, I think, to see. Mm-hmm. And really interesting to see kind of where that goes tonight. It does look like, I think, that she survives the night.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's worth noting. It is worth noting here.
I am hearing. I will say from other people, it does sound like Omar did not go on the air, which is another malpractice from progressives.
Guys, you can't out-organize millions of dollars of TV. You can't. Stop trying. This is why Nina Turner lost. You can't
That's
do
really
it.
surprising. Why run TV ads?
Why? It is still the most effective way of doing campaign outreach.
One other thing I would mention here, obviously, there's a lot of factors we can go into. What tipped off this whole article in the tablet was this very anecdotal event of her being booed at a Somali community event, being very, very loudly booed. This was mostly, and I think reasonably struck off as an anecdotal incident that can happen to any politician. I do want to see how the Somali areas of the district have voted. That would be, I think, the really interesting thing here. If she's lost that political base, that means her base is basically shifted from the Somali community to Minneapolis's white liberals. That would just be my guess as to how it's gone. That's not a bad swap. White liberals make up a lot more of the district than the Somali community does. But it would be kind of interesting to see that sort of, the evolution of that career there. Again, I want to see the final results. I want to see a precinct breakdown. This is not good. The question is, does she get targeted again in 2024 seriously this time?
Oh, absolutely.
2020, she had a credible challenger that had some progressive viability issues, again, focusing on Israel. I think if you focused on she's not doing enough for the community district, if you had someone from the local community come in, she's got some work to do clearly, though, there's no excuse for this performance. This is a very, very bad performance from her, even with 80%, even surviving this. You're an incumbent. You're a 3-term incumbent at this point, in a very, very Democratic district.
No, two-term, I believe.
2-term. Yeah, I don't want to go too much off of a primary, but this does matter. And
she'll get targeted next time. And
yeah,
I would honestly go a step further. I would say she's in very real danger of losing next time. And if she only wins with 50% of the vote, I feel like there's a reasonable argument to be made that she could be the underdog, because she outspent Don Samuels by around $700,000.
Mm-hmm.
To only win by 2% with that kind of spending lead while you're the incumbent, bad, very bad. And we've seen groups like AIPAC and Democratic Majority for Israel willing to drop obscene amounts of money. Yeah.
Yeah, one wonders what would have happened if APOC had put in some money.
I don't know that you have to wonder. I think she loses.
That's fair, I guess.
I think any more money and she loses. I think this is going to be looked at much like progressives are going to look at the Eric, help me out, North Carolina 4th or 7th. Valerie Foushee.
Nita Alam. Yeah, Nita Alam.
Nita Alam. This is going to be AIPAC's version of Nita Alam, where we wish we had spent more on Nita Alam because she only lost by 7 or 4 even. So.
But again, I'm going to post the article in the Tablet magazine, which has a reputation as being right leaning. I would say it's unfair to peg it as a right wing publication. It's more like a center rightish sort of Jewish outlet that has a very, very strong pro-Israel bent. Some would say very, very strong pro-Israel bent. But in terms of its political lean, it's not any more outside of the norm than I would say the Forward is on the as far as Jewish magazines go on the Democratic side. So I'll go ahead and post the article here. Actually, I'm going to get the link because it changed it to a Twitter link, and I don't want to brat through Twitter. It's called Ilhan's Country. Give it a read. That's probably the best thing I could say to. The only thing I could think of here that would be indicative of kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I largely dismissed it as what you did, or not dismissed, but I largely saw it as anecdotal stuff that wasn't going to matter significantly. But time to reevaluate that position because it's the only variable I've got.
Yeah, I mean, this is all we have right now, so this is not something I would have expected going tonight. Clearly, none of us did.
No,
there's always a surprise on these nights. Doesn't seem to never seem to miss that. That's for sure. Always seems to be one surprise. There's always a surprise in primaries, folks. Never forget that.
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment indeed.
And would you want it to be?
No, of course not. Why would you ever want it to be dull? Eric, do you want it to be dull?
I would rather, personally, if it were up to me, I'd prefer Rebecca Kleefisch. She's much more conservative.
I said dull. I said dull, buddy. Would you rather?
I think it'd be really fun if she had won by 20%. That would have been really exciting.
Okay, well, you're.
But yeah, I mean, the Omar thing is making up for this. I really want to see those margins. All right, let's look at the margins here. So Anoka County, Don Samuels is leading by 8 points there. Hennepin County, Omar's only leading by 4. And then in Ramsey County, there's nothing in from Ramsey County in the 5th district, interestingly enough, so far. Apparently, the only results in so far are from Anoka and Hennepin counties. If this could go into an upset, I think you would want to look at Anoka County. Ooh, we got additional results in from Minnesota 1, though. You want to look into these, Joe?
Yes, I can. So
from Rice County and Dodge County.
Rice County. Let me see here. Rice. Oh, that's bad. That's bad for the Democrat. That's very bad. Rice County was a Trump plus 0.2 percentage district, literally a Trump plus 62 vote county. Brad Finstead is currently winning Rice County with DDHQ is expecting around 87% of the vote, and he's winning that 56-41. So, ouch. Ouch is all I have to say to that.
Yeah, major ow.
That's an ouch one. Eric, we're seeing your Twitter.
Oh, sorry.
Now show us more. We want to see the secrets.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find.
I know what you're trying to find. Find it.
Rice County. Here we go. Oop, I'm coming through the microphone background somehow.
I heard you're not getting anything from me. I heard you're just fine.
I heard the background a little.
Did you?
Bit. A little bit. Rice County is split between 2 districts, people in the chat are saying.
Oh, well, that
Okay, that's a
explains
fair
it.
point.
That explains it.
And then Dodge County. How much was Dodge County in?
Somebody says the split that's in the first was Trump plus 22.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, then.
So that's
Okay, so that'll
actually
be an
them
underperformance.
overperformance. Yeah.
Interesting.
Dodge County is saying there's only, I think these might be test, saying there's only 50 votes in. So I don't think they were supposed to do that. I don't believe they were supposed to do that, so. But okay, that explains it then if Rice was split. That explains things. Okay. That'll explain that. That would explain that.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure it would explain it?
Minnesota's 5th got narrower.
Oh, did it really?
Uh-oh. Yeah, it did get narrower. Holy shit.
How much?
It's down to 50.7% now. Nothing in from Ramsey County still.
Oh man. Don't get narrower. Despite all of her problems, I like Ilhan Omar.
Unfortunately, the voters of Minnesota's 5th.
I'm kind of keeping my eye on this final Anoka County drop.
Yeah, Anoka County. This is going to be important. Yeah, there's nothing in from Anoka County yet. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and switch from the governor view to the Minnesota 5th view because this is much more interesting.
Who would have predicted that?
Not me. Not me, I can say.
I don't even think Don Samuels predicted this.
I mean, do we know anything about Don Samuels?
He likes
state
cops,
senator.
apparently.
State senator, likes cops. Had to pay a settlement to a family of a kid he let that drowned on his watch.
That's bad.
That seems less than ideal.
Yeah, less than ideal. Rock County narrowed in Minnesota's first. I'm using the chat for my Minnesota first updates because I honestly hate the New York Times website. City councilman Don Samuels, not state senator.
City council. Well, that would explain some things.
Ramsey County. Sorry, Anoka County has results in. Ramsey County has no results in so far.
I don't think Ramsey County is that big part of the district, quite honestly.
How much is there? Do you have any? Oh, yeah, that looks like a pretty small portion.
Yeah.
83% is in from Hennepin, apparently, which is the majority of the district. And then there's Anoka is so right now they're estimating 22,000 remaining votes in from Hennepin County, 2,700 from Anoka County, and 950 from Ramsey. The margin of votes right now is about 3,100 for Ilhan Omar. She's winning Hennepin by about 3%. She's losing Anoka by 9%, and we don't know anything. We don't know what she's what the margin will be in Ramsey.
Got a question about the Secretary of State race. Amy Loudenbeck is beating James Schroeder there right now, 49-38.
The unfortunate question I feel like I have to ask now in Republican primaries: who's the election denier?
Well, Loudenbeck is winning in the WOW counties, so
probably probably.
I get probably less crazy. I'm not positive, but probably less crazy. Has anyone seen if anything's come in from Robin Voss's primary yet?
Nothing as far as I can see.
Okay.
I did actually.
I swear to God, if we knock
just check
if we knock out Robin Voss for no good reason, I swear to Christ.
Why are you attacking the wall?
So again, let's go back up. Yep, so 60.7%. That's Finstad's lead right now. He's up 35 points in Rock County, 19% in Rice County. Those are both with 95% of the votes in, apparently.
So Rice would be a Dem overperformance. Rock would be an Democratic underperformance.
I think.
If that Trump plus 22 and Rice was accurate.
This is the reason this is hard for me to tell is because we had such a divergence from the in 2020 from the Trump numbers to the Hajdorn numbers.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually ended up tweeting this out, which is stupid, but my kind of thought was that Finstad probably finished somewhere in between, that he probably slightly underperforms Trump here, but overperforms Hajdorn, which that I don't know. I don't know how that would necessarily run in
Yeah, this is unusual because this is a much closer seat down ballot than it was at the top.
Rock was Trump plus 39?
Yeah. Yes, that is
so
correct.
This would be a mild underperformance at this point then.
That would be correct.
Yeah, here's some more stuff from the Wisconsin primary. Credible outlets have not called this yet. Some people on Twitter have already. An example of what's different: Marathon County, which is Wausau, Kleefisch is winning it by 10%. Vukmir lost it by 7%. Again, this is not as uniform as the 2018 primary on either side. Kleefisch is doing a lot better outstate in a lot of areas than Vukmir was, and Michaels is doing much better in the WoW counties than
Nicholson
did. Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh motherfucker!
What?
Robin Voss is down by 33 votes in that first.
What portion this is from?
I don't know. It doesn't.
I don't see anything showing up on DDHQ. If you're going off
I just got the drop on DDHQ.
Oh, there we go. I see it. Yeah. Oof, 22%.
I don't think
that's
we
not
have
good.
that in terms of.
Yeah. Again, Adamstein literally wants to ban contraception. I'm going to say that again. Like, this guy is nuts. Racine County. So that's the Racine County portion of the seat.
Yeah. I will say something that Voss probably has going for him is that Kleefisch is winning in Walworth. That's what I'd say he has going for him right now. Otherwise, what a night. Stupid night, but it's a night nonetheless.
Yeah, we really are in the silly zone.
I will want to say it looks like Doug LaFollette has held off a primary challenger from Alexis Sabour.
Was he in danger?
In that Secretary of State race?
Was he in danger?
Some people were talking about it because she was the Dane County Democratic chair. Now, obviously, there's a lot of votes in Dane County for Democrats, as is per the normal with the People's Republic of Madison. But you know, well, it is. It is. Jacob, is this talking about Minnesota's first? Just to clarify here, Jacob. Because I think if you were to ask people, I think the answer would be yes. Finstad was actually a surprise victory. At least from what I remember from that night, people were surprised because he was considered the more moderate candidate. Ettinger as well has kind of garnered some national recognition for running on a very moderate Democratic platform. So both definitely probably are more towards the middle of the pack for their parties, I would say. Finstad was definitely kind of a surprise winner. I don't think people expected him to be the winner, but he kind of succeeded from that very divided field that we saw in that original primary back in June.
Yeah, I think people are really.
I saw some comments on this. We do not listen to any calls that are not DDHQ calls.
Yeah,
and again, I think people are calling this way too early. This is beyond too early. People are going. I know people want to rush to be the first one to call. This is too early. It is like Cleefish is doing better.
It is literally like depending on who you're looking at, it is either a 6,000 or about 4,500 vote total right now.
Yeah. Like you don't call it with that small of a gap unless there's a lot more in.
Yeah, I think people looked at first over the WOW margins for the rest of the state and were like, oh, that's it. We got to call it. But she's doing enough to be competitive still. You do not call us at 51% of the vote right now. I'm sorry.
No.
Beyond too early. And again, we don't know how much of these are election day or early votes comparatively. So
this is an interesting question here. Why was Hajdorn such an underperformer? Eric, do you think you would kind of have an answer for that?
It's an ancestrally Democratic seat. I mean, I don't know what I can say much better. This is a seat Republicans flipped in 2018. They flipped it narrowly. I think the big problem again, is this is the first district. Tim Walz was up. It's a very, very unusual situation in that district. Minnesota has a lot more people who are willing to vote for Democrats down ballot, including in the first district. I think you saw something similar in the 8th district, which Republicans flipped, although I think it was a little bit of overperformance there because the candidate there was much better. Democrats spent heavily in Minnesota one. This was a seat they expected to be competitive in, and they were. So if you're comparing to presidential, this looks like an underperformance. If you're comparing to the House, this is a slight overperformance. I think it really just depends on how it ends up, though. I don't want to say anything too early right now compared to that, but this is a seat that voted for Democrats for a very long time, and it's a history of voting for conservative or moderate Democrats. It's not surprising to me that a Democrat could perform a little bit better there.
Yeah. It looks like they're set. It looks like Republicans are underperforming Trump, but I mean, yeah.
This is a weird race. I think the 19th in New York is probably going to be a better tell in 2 weeks, quite honestly, because this is a weird enough race for just what it is. In terms of the seat and where it's located, it is arguably a weirder seat to kind of compare here, just because of kind of again, being one of the still very few seats that do have that Democratic down ballot lean that we have seen.
Sure, but I don't think it would make sense to completely dismiss.
No.
I know you're not doing that.
No.
I know you're not doing that. I'm just saying I would not dismiss this result either way.
No. I think I think what's important to mention is that there's context.
Absolutely.
There's context there within that there, and I think that's maybe the point I'm trying to drive home a little bit, is that the context in this seat is probably different than every other race that
it's very unique.
than every other than every other seat than we've kind of seen special wise so far this year. Like
it's a very unique district. We saw Republicans drastically overperform in Texas 6, for example. That was a seat Republicans did a lot better at the top of the ballot than they did, or the House level than the top of the ballot. They did better there in the House. Here, they did worse in the House than the presidential, or performing somewhere in the middle right now. Also, there's 3 counties and we don't have Rochester in yet. We really don't know how this is going to end up. We're literally going.
There's no Winona in yet either.
Yeah.
I want to say Rochester. Let me look here.
That's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, that'll be a big one, of course. I believe. No, I'm not gonna. I believe it was Biden plus 10 about. In 2020.
It's a more heavily educated portion. It's got
it's not Rochester County. Let me look up the actual name of the county. It's Olmsted. Olmsted County was about. It was Biden plus 11.
Yeah.
So
again, this has the Mayo Clinic. This is a highly educated area. So this is one Democrats are hoping to do very well in. They're hoping to improve in this county because of the abortion issue. So that'll also be indicative, I think, is when we finally get results in from Olmsted.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
Definitely agree with that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I want to point out that some people early in the session were hyping up a primary challenge to Betty McCollum. That has not gone so hot so far. I mean, only Washington County in. Nothing from Ramsey, but otherwise.
Who did Betty McCollum upset?
I don't know. Did she ever? I forget. Did she say something about Israel that people didn't like?
No, she's very left wing on Israel.
Yeah, she is very left wing on Israel, but she's also not Ilhan Omar. I mean that both ways. I mean, she's not that politically. She's not as divisive of a figure, I don't think, and she's also doesn't have the racist attacks that have kind of been thrown against Ilhan Omar. So she's kind of from some of that.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, the racism doesn't come in, and Betty McCollum's quieter and doesn't have any reason really to be targeted by the racist groups. So she has no real reason to say much of anything.
And I don't want to dismiss criticism of Ilhan Omar as racist. It's clearly not. I've criticized Ilhan Omar.
I'm just
acknowledging I'm just pointing out that is actually a factor, that she has been undoubtedly subject to attacks based on her race, which is not cool, and her religion. And that has been an actual thing that has happened, and that's something that Betty McCollum will never have to deal with. I don't think that's exceedingly controversial to say that. At least I would hope not.
No, it's not amongst sane people. And I'm so going back to the question, why is Ilhan Omar underperforming so much? Well, the fact that she didn't go on TV is probably a good indication of why.
For some reason, progressives appear to be allergic to TV. I'm not sure why.
Have we not learned anything? You have to campaign. You knew this was coming. You knew you were going to get challenged again.
And she'll continue to get challenged. Like that's just a fact of life.
Yes, and you outraised your opponent. You had $2 million. You don't have a general election. Really? I mean, who who are you saving your money for? The primary is the only campaign you need to worry about. If
No,
you're
the real general election challenge right there.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
Had to go back
Hey,
and
if I-
refill the water glass, gentlemen. Sorry.
Yeah. I would be really interested to see her general election march because again, last time she was the largest underperformer of any Democrat in Congress. Let me see if I can find the article. This was in
I think she's
this was
still. Yes, she was the biggest underperformer. She did also still win by like 20 points.
Yes, she won by more. So basically, she won with 64% of the vote to her Republican challenger 26%, and a Green Party candidate got 10% of the vote. That said, her margin. I'm going to see what the Democratic presidential margin was on the seat. Joe Biden, I believe, won the district with about 80% of the vote. So she went from basically she underperformed. She got 64% of the vote. Biden got 80%. That is a statistically significant difference there, folks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and only about half of that can be accounted for by the Green Party candidate.
But what I also don't want to hear people saying is that Ilhan Omar is vulnerable in a general election. She is not.
Don't say that.
She is not.
And let's in some good news, I think, for Republicans today. Doug Wardlow is pretty heavily losing his primary to Jim Schultz right now in that Minnesota Attorney General's primary. That would be happy news there for Minnesota Republicans because they very much wanted Schultz against Keith Ellison. It looks like they're going to get their wish.
Yeah, so interesting here with these results so far is that Cleafish seems to have a decent base in the center of the state of Wisconsin. Also worth noting, this race is now narrowed to 2.5 points in the 5th district. Ilhan Omar now only has 50.5% of the vote compared to 48% for Dan Samuels. Don Samuels.
How much reporting?
83% of the vote in.
Yeah,
she is losing Anoka by about 8. She's losing She's winning Hennepin now by 50.8. Nothing in from Ramsey still.
Okay, so I feel pretty comfortable saying Ilhan Omar is going to survive. I don't think he has enough real estate to win at this point.
He needs to continue reducing in her margins in Hennepin County, which he's been doing. The remaining Hennepin County votes have swung against Omar, it seems, and he needs to win Ramsey by quite a bit. What I was going to say about the governor race, though, is look at this little line here she has in the center of the state. So we mentioned Wood County. Michaels was doing much worse in Wood County than Nicholson did. She's winning Portage County right now by 15%. She's winning Marathon County by 9%. Winning Lincoln County by 1%. Washara County by less than 1%. She's not doing as well around the WOW counties, but she's doing competently enough in the center of the state that I don't feel comfortable calling this race right now, and I don't think that's exceptionally controversial. I think this is clearly a too close to call situation right now. You can get egg on your face if you call something too early. You can get a lot of egg on your face.
Yeah, I would not have. Yeah.
So we had some results coming from Steele County. About half the results dropped there. Minnesota 0-1. It was Finstad leads basically by 22 points. It's 68-38 right now. That was based. That was base. No, that's Trump. That's plus 22.
68-38.
60-38. 60-38.
Okay, so I thought you said
22. That was basically the margin in 2020 for Trump, between Trump and Biden for that one. So again, only half the vote in. Take it that what you will. But
No, never mind. I thought we had more results in from the Robin Voss race, but we don't.
No,
We don't. Unfortunately.
So with DDHQ is saying without 77% in that Tim Michaels is winning Washington County right now. That if that holds, that would probably end the night for him here.
That would be a pretty substantial problem for the record Cleafish to overcome.
Yeah. I'm just gonna agree with them because I don't know the geography.
That's more
Washington is one of the WoW counties.
More of that suburban area.
Waukesha, Shockey, and Washington counties.
Although it doesn't seem like there's that big of a geographical divide here, so
no, it's certainly lessened compared to what it was,
and certainly not Pennsylvania level.
No, definitely not.
Oh, and since I have seen some people saying that they just joined, welcome to the stream if you're joining us for the first time. We'll go. We've been on for a little bit, so you want to give the pitch, Joe, to the like and subscribe thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So don't please. We're holding. I'm pretty happy for the fact that it's 10:30 at night Eastern time. We're holding at about 61 viewers right now across most of across our streaming platforms here. I don't know what it is on Twitter right now, but as I check here, so we've got about another 20 on Twitter, so about 80 viewers concurrently right now. Thank you all for watching right now. Certainly, we're not going away just yet. We are still certainly going to be waiting out right now these results. But if you are new here, please go ahead and like and subscribe here. Yeah, please like and subscribe. We do these 2022 election night streams. 2022 election night streams. In that regard here. So we'll be back next week. Next week is a late night, but next week is still a big one watch race because that is the Wyoming congressional primary.
No, wait, no, New York's not next week. I'm
last stand. What?
I thought New York was next week too, but
no. And in 2 weeks, though, August 23rd, you're definitely going to want to be here for that one because we'll be here live, I believe, at 7 o'clock that night, Eastern time, as Florida and New York hit each other that night.
I would love to see New York and Florida hit each other.
It would be an interesting night. That'll be a very interesting night in itself. Also, every Friday night, we have our Elections Weekly podcast where we recap the week in election news. We do all that here on our YouTube. We do it on Twitch. We do it on our Twitter. So please follow us here on our YouTube. Please, we're trying to hit 500 subscribers before the fall. I think we're at like 495 right now or something along those lines. So if you're new, please subscribe. 500 subscribers would be a big deal for us. If you're on Twitter, follow us there. That's where we tweet our articles. That's where we tweet our updates. We have some great writers. Jacob Walters, one of our usual contributors. You'll sometimes see him on the streams. Wrote an excellent article today about the Michigan gubernatorial primary, about how Tudor Dixon was able to rise up out of the mess that was. So follow us, like us, subscribe us. We'll be back here on Friday night, hopefully with our usual fourth panelist, Kraz Grenitz, as we recap not only tonight's election races, but also the weekend election news. I'm going to push it back to Eric as we return to your regularly scheduled election coverage. And I do want to answer a question here, though, from Connor Black. He is Finstead is neither overperforming or underperforming Trump's result in Steele County. He is basically matching it at this point. As a Trump plus 22 county in 2020, it is currently Finstead plus 22 county with about 50% of the vote in.
I would also like to plug, I have my podcast.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the big announcement this week, too.
No, it's okay. I have my podcast launching in one of two that I'll be launching on the Elections Daily YouTube channel, Incoherent Thoughts. I'll be doing my first interview with a friend of mine and a activist and entrepreneur out of California, Joe Sandberg, talking about his $18 minimum wage ballot initiative, disability rights, and I'm sure a lot of other things. So
Mhm.
that'll go live Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Isn't that fascinating, folks? Don't we love that? Dylan, of course, he's been our big podcast guy. He's one of the guys who drove us to start to do podcasts. You're going to see a lot more of him in that aspect of things. He's basically our head podcaster, which
Yes,
we love.
he
That.
will.
We love as we continue to grow this brand here. Eric, I think, also has some thanks to say publicly as we reach another big milestone on the Twitter account this week.
Oh yeah, we've already blown past. I congratulate or thanked everyone over the weekend for hitting 14,000 followers on Twitter. We're actually at 14.1 now.
Hooray for
so,
election nights!
Yeah, we're
Hooray!
we're nearing that big
for
15,000. So yeah, thank you guys again. We couldn't do this without you. We have a great group of contributors here. You see our faces all the time if you're watching the streams. Go to the website as well. We get some really, really good articles. Kraz Granitz, Jacob Walters, Aaron Goldsmith. There's a lot of articles for us. We have a good slate of articles coming for the rest of the week. So be sure to follow them as well. We haven't had that in a while, but we've got it. Yeah, we have most of their handles at the bottom of the articles in the byline. You can follow all of them there. They do really good work. So yeah, that's just my shout out to them. But yeah, thank you guys again. We're hoping to hit 15,000 before. I would say before the election, but we may hit it sooner at this point. So yeah, really again, thank you guys. But let's get over the self congratulations here. And kind of go on to kind of the rest of this. So what we're looking at right now, obviously in the first district, is pretty even. We have 4 counties insofar, like we mentioned, we're waiting for more to come in. But we're going to go over to the elections here. Let's go over to governor primary. Notice again.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Dylan, you have something.
Somebody in the chat says Don Samuels conceded the primary to Ilhan Omar.
That's probably understand. It seems like as well as he's going to get close, it does not seem like there's enough votes remaining.
I agree. I would also not be surprised in the slightest if we heard next week even that Don Samuels is going to run again in 2024.
That's very fair.
He
Either that or progressive.
Close.
Yeah.
He came very close with no money, or not no money, but less money.
What was very nearly no money, basically.
Yeah. So I would expect him to run against Omar again. Maybe this time she'll go up on TV. Just a thought.
I just want to say this: the actual rhino in that Vermont congressional seat has won that primary.
Yeah.
Won that primary.
We love actual rhinos who support universal health care and protecting civil liberties.
This is very fascinating.
Love that.
And I will say, according to the Times, we are definitely trending towards Zuckerman versus Benning in that lieutenant governor's race. And as Eric said, we'd probably have that rated as a lean Democratic race.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Zuckerman versus Benning, that's for sure. So there's that too. Obviously, it's Vermont. Very little people care about that, but it is something to point out tonight.
And
I will say right now, as I continue to look at these results, it looks like we're trending towards probably about a Michael plus 2 to 5 point win at this point.
Yeah, I will say, if AIPAC took $2 million of the $11 million they spent against Andy Levin, they might have been able to knock out Andy Levin and Ilhan Omar tonight.
Wouldn't have that been fascinating?
I mean, they have been probably the most influential endorser in the Democratic primaries this cycle, but I'm starting to wonder if they're just not spending their money as wisely as they could. I feel like they're kind of brute forcing it in a way. Like, they're not spending where they could win. They're spending until they win.
It's also worth noting Don Samuels only has 685 Twitter followers now. He started the night with 590.
Oh,
More
good for
example
him.
that Twitter is not in fact real life.
No, you're kidding me.
Okay, maybe I'm being reductionist, but I am going to chalk 99% of this up to Ilhan Omar spent literally nothing on television.
I actually will agree with you on that one.
Like, that is political malpractice.
Well, I mean, we've mentioned there's some issues with her advisors, with campaign finance. Maybe she should focus on hiring an ad firm that's not related to her family, for example.
Okay.
That could be...
Okay. I am all for criticizing her for that. I led the charge on that. But this has been an issue with all progressives. Nina Turner didn't spend anything on TV as far as I can remember. And she was going to win that first race until she just didn't do anything other than organize.
Well, don't you? I mean, clearly the problem here is just that she did not organize enough. She organized barely enough. If she organizes more, next time she'll win by more. That's just how it works.
Clearly.
She just needs to invest all of her. She needs to invest all of her budget into more organizing and millennial outreach coordinators. Those would be like the two. Yeah.
Fire campaign management, hire activist.
Yep. Exactly.
That seems like a negative outcome.
Yeah.
What a night. Well, it's going to be, I think, I'm not going to say anything as a mouthpiece for DHQ, but I think we're probably tracking towards a Michaels victory right now.
Yep. And
also,
I will note here, Connecticut, I forgot to mention this, that Senate primary has been called for Leora Levy, who was the Trump-endorsed candidate. That race was not competitive. Yep.
Connecticut, the Republican candidate in Connecticut to win the Secretary of State race made voter fraud his calling.
Well, that's not good either.
That's a lot like making it your calling in Wyoming. What are you doing?
It's questionable. Highly questionable and suspect.
Very, very questionable. Do we have any? Oh, Joe, you'll be happy.
Oh, will I be happy? He took a lead. Go, Robbie, go.
DDHQ does not have that yet, but
I'm sure someone does.
But yeah,
Robin Voss.
Yeah,
come on, Robbie. Need you
again.
Here,
I want to reiterate that Adam Steen, Robin Voss's Trump-endorsed primary opponent, wants to ban birth control.
Still a better candidate than Blake Masters.
I mean, I don't know. Again, it's a red seat. It would not matter, but getting rid of Robin Voss would be like the biggest act of political suicide in the recent history of any political party in the United States. Robin Voss is the single most effective Republican House Speaker in the country.
Yes,
and the only reason Trump does not like him is that he doesn't want to overturn the election results.
Which I'm sure Robin Voss would do if he thought it would work.
No, I mean, Robin Voss said he cannot decertify election results. It's not a thing. You cannot decertify an election.
That's what I mean. If he thought it was viable, I think he would do it.
Oh, no, he wouldn't. Robin Voss is a peak Waukesha, Wow County Republican. So
I'm from the Northeast. That doesn't mean anything to me.
The Wow counties are like the Scott Walkers of the world. They're very conservative, but not extremely Trumpy. These years have shifted to the left. So this would be like rough. He's more similar like Dan Crenshaw or Tim Moore in North Carolina than he would be to an actual Trump Republican.
And it looks like we have more results in from Minnesota's first. And
I'm not seeing them.
New York Times or
I've seen it from multiple Twitter people, so I
All
just
right.
kind of thought it was updated, but I guess it's not.
I think they're probably looking at the Secretary of State website, so I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know Twitter's not real life, but the Twitter election nerds generally don't make up votes. Generally,
Some of them.
generally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll wait until the Times officially updates that, since we're watching that for that race.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the results on the Secretary of State website as well. Okay, Minnesota state primary. Let's look at the. I'm trying to find a way to find the special election here because I cannot seem to find it.
Secretary of State websites don't usually have the best layouts.
It's weird. Why don't we argue for that more? To fix our crappy election software. Be nice.
Yeah. Fix the election software and the election counting rules. All of the
It'd be
nerds.
very helpful, quite honestly.
All of the nerds want it.
Okay, here we go. Special election congressional district 1. These are available in PDF form, apparently, so that's delightful. Or Excel file. Sorry, they're available in an Excel file form. They're not updating them live on the website. They're updating them in an Excel file.
Stay in the 90s.
And I don't see any results in here either, so I'm frankly not sure where they're finding these results from because I have not seen anything else come in on this website. If someone knows where to find it on the website, please direct it to me because I cannot find where you're supposed to be finding this Minnesota 1 results.
Jacob asks, will polls generally underestimate Republicans? If at all, if so, how much? Well, if they are, it's impossible to say by how much.
Yeah. Yes. This is a weird phenomenon where this is like very anecdotal, but I've spoken at a couple of Republican meetings in a both a political sense and in a professional sense where I've been invited to speak on what we do here and kind of what we do as a website, and also as Joe Szymanski, the young Republican chair from his college branch, versus Joe Szymanski, the guy you see on these streams. There are a good chunk of people in these meetings who have admitted to me that if they get called by a pollster, they will lie about who they are supporting. So again, this is incredibly anecdotal, but I have heard this at multiple Republican meetings across both Pennsylvania and Virginia.
Joe, I know you can't because you're normal, but can you explain? Why?
You see, the reason why is because fuck the pollsters, and you want to make them more wrong. So you can continue to say that the pollsters are wrong. So, stupid.
Now, I don't think that's happening en masse.
Who knows? There's something clearly there is something funky going on with polling working class white people. That has been a relatively clear thing. Even in 2018, there were some states where it's like, man, you clearly missed some certain sect of people here when you were polling this race. I don't know what the hell happened. But something is weird. I don't know what it's weird. And I think I agree with Heather in the comments. I think polling is very much not the only one thing. Sometimes there are just the fundamentals of a district. This is where we screwed up in our 2020 House ratings.
Guys, I'm sorry. Can we go off topic for a moment?
Sure, why not? Why not?
New York 12 poll. Jerry Nadler, 29. Carolyn Maloney, 27. Suraj Patel, 20. Undecided, 19.
That'd be chaos, wouldn't it?
Chaos. Oh, God. It would be an absolute meme if Suraj Patel won. That would be the funniest thing to happen all cycle.
It would be really, really funny. Yeah.
I don't like Suraj Patel. He's a creepy weirdo. But to see him beat out 2 incumbents, candidate aside, to see him beat out 2 incumbents would be objectively funny. Okay, it looks like the results just updated on New York Times a little bit.
Yeah, they did. Where is that from?
Here we go. This is from
Freeborn.
Freeborn. Yep.
About
Freeborn
60% of the
County.
vote in from Freeborn County. So I have these numbers up. It is a Trump plus 16, Finstad plus 14.
And so again, the tracking seems to indicate it's going to be an underperformance.
What is a Steele County per se right now? Steele County is
22. It's 20. It's basically the same.
Is it? Oh, so it's basically the same as last time.
At 49% reporting. I don't know where those people who said that they had like 99% reporting and the margin got cut. I don't know where they're seeing that.
Yeah, I don't know where they're finding that either.
Oh, what is Suraj Patel's damage? Making creepy comments about an underage model.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
so yeah,
bad.
DDHU, by the way, has officially called the race for Ilhan Omar. Just to say that.
Also,
important.
catfishing people on Twitter, or not Twitter, Tinder, to
Also
organize.
Bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, he had his campaign catfish people on Tinder to get volunteers.
What?
And votes.
That seems like a dick move. I don't know about you.
Yes, very bad, very questionable. Don't do that.
Oh. And this is the best that New York could come up with: Jerry Nadler, Carolyn Maloney, and Suraj Patel.
I mean,
on the one hand, so like we got three candidate scandals here. So right, you got all that stuff with Suraj Patel. Carolyn Maloney, you got the anti-vax stuff. You got the fact that she's used the N-word.
And that she doesn't like pandas. Don't forget
and she doesn't like pandas. And Jerry Nadler is old, and I think he's male, and I think that's it. Like that's the Carolyn Maloney message right there. I'm really not.
I don't like Nadler. He's easily the least bad of the 3. And I don't hate Suraj Patel's policies at all. I just hate Suraj Patel.
That's fair. Nothing wrong with that.
The fact that Raina Abdel-Hamid dropped out instead of Suraj Patel is truly a tragedy.
I see.
If she had been the 3rd candidate and she was within striking distance of beating out 2 incumbents, that would both be funny and amazing. The best kind.
The best kind, truly.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. That poll is a Suraj Patel internal.
Oh, Dylan.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Dylan.
The humor.
You gotta read the fine print, buddy.
It wasn't even fine print. It was the next line of the tweet.
Oh dear.
I literally just didn't look down a millimeter.
Dylan.
But still,
Dylan.
But still, they've got Maloney and Nadler very close.
What a night.
What
a night indeed.
New York primaries can be titled The Revenge of the Cuomos? No, I don't think so.
Not yet, at least.
No, Cuomo's only... the only fuck you Cuomo gave on the way out was with redistricting.
That was still a funny fuck you.
It's a very chaotic fuck you.
That was fun. We can't... The chaos... I thought we agreed that chaos means fun here.
Chaos does
I thought we had agreed on that.
Chaos definitely means fun. but it also means bad. Fun and bad. That's kind of how I live. Someone in the chat asks, is New York 10 still a three-way race? Yes. It is still New, Rivera, and Goldman. Although Elizabeth Holtzman did get the endorsement of the New York Daily News.
Really?
Yes, which is objectively hilarious.
Oh, that would be so funny. That would be so funny.
I mean,
please.
I think like if half of New York, like at this point, I'm honestly not certain if so they were to put the corpse of Bella Abzug up, how many votes she would get. Like it just seemed like New York just likes voting for dead people or nearly dead people. It's kind of baffling to me. You have a chance to elect a new representative for the next 50 years. And this is
well, if they nominate Elizabeth Holtzman, they'll get another shot in like 10. They'll have two opportunities to pick a candidate who will be in office for a lifetime.
What is this? Will New York primaries be the birth of Dark Cuomo?
Dark
What
Cuomo.
does that mean?
No. Why is the meme dead?
I feel like the one thing Democrats and Republicans can unite on, or at least progressives and Republicans can unite on, is fuck Andrew Cuomo. Sean Patrick Maloney, I think, is a lock. However, I won't say it's a lock. It's likely Maloney, but the Police Benevolence Association made its first expenditure to Maloney, and the Working Families Party, this is just breaking now, has put in $100,000 for Biaggi. So Working Families Party does not think it's over. The Police Benevolence Association doesn't think it's over.
Anyways, interesting enough, Rice County apparently had another drop. That part of Rice County that we talked about is now at Finstead plus 22.
Interesting.
Which I believe is the result of the Trump margin.
When it wasn't split.
It's still split.
Yeah, back when it wasn't split.
Yes, it is. What was the margin again for Rice? Someone in the chat said it. I'm
gonna scroll back up.
22, I think.
No,
I think that might have been county. That might have been
it was 22.
It was 22. Okay. That's
a memory.
So he's at Trump.
I have a better memory than people think.
I have a terrible memory and I've never made any bones about it.
So, do you want some bad news, Dylan?
What is Shri Thanadar still in the news? What do you got?
Democrats forgot to purchase Mandela Barnes for Senate.com. And Republicans have bought it and have an attack website set up.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Just pro tip. When you start your campaign, buy all domains that include your name in it. Buy all that include as many of them as possible. Just do it.
Pro tip. If you're running for Senate, buy your name for Senate. This shouldn't be hard.
Yeah. Now, apparently Democrats have purchased SenatorRonJohnson.com in response, but I feel like that's not as strong because it's not a campaign website. Nobody just Googles SenatorRonJohnson.com. Whereas you could very well Google, Mandela Barnes for Senate.
I feel like, okay. As
I like the shit posting though. I appreciate the
I do too. And as much as I don't like Democratic incompetence, I don't think anybody, maybe I'm just young, but I don't think anybody types in a URL straight without Googling it first.
That's a good point.
If you've never been there. I'm going to type in YouTube, but I'm not going to type in Rebecca Kleefish for governor if I've never been .com. I'm going to type in Rebecca Kleefish on Google. Do the trolls purchasing a domain names with redirect ever really work? Define work. I mean, they work on a purely technical level of redirecting how you want them to. Do they sway any votes? I would be shocked. It's really just a statement of how well your campaign is running. So I guess Ilhan Omar's campaign strategy apparently was relying on organizing young voters.
That seems like a negative outcome idea.
No, in fact,
I want to say,
gonna...
Tim, just a small update. Tim Michaels is up about 3 points right now as it continues to trend towards a likely victory for him.
No,
yeah.
Look, I'm actually the contrarian here. So Ilhan Omar's strategy was to mobilize young voters. The fact that she won clearly means that this worked. In fact, the only flaw is she did not spend enough money on mobilizing young voters. She should have spent her entire campaign budget on organizers and organizing.
I'm not convinced she didn't, Eric.
Oh.
I'm not convinced she didn't. TV, for God's sake.
Oh boy.
This is literally how Scott Tipton lost.
Oh,
This
don't
is-
remind me about Scott Tipton, that mother.
This is how AOC beat Joe Crowley. Because they weren't on TV.
Go on TV.
Go on
Spend on TV. It's worth
No,
it.
her issue was radio.
worth the
They
purchase.
couldn't on radio.
Tipton's issue was radio. Well, I consider radio and TV almost the same. They're both equivalent outreach methods. TV is certainly better, but I think you could get away with a majority radio advertising strategy.
Big news here. Robin Voss has declared victory with 99% of the vote in. He is ahead by 3.5 percentage points over a candidate
Hooray.
that wants to ban contraception that Trump endorsed. So he has declared victory, and it looks like he will be winning. I don't think DDHQ has called this, but also like they're not really paying too much attention to this race. It appears that Robin Voss has held on.
And before Adam Steen declares that it was a rigged election.
You're
I'm not kidding.
not kidding.
I'm not.
We were so it's incredible how close we were to playing taps for Ilhan Omar tonight. We were so close.
You were.
We were so
You're right.
close.
You said at the start of the night, you asked if we were going to play taps for anyone. Joe said no. That's the
And
monkey
I
paw. If you had said
and-
yes, Ilhan Omar would have lost.
And I almost.
Are we blaming me for this? This seems
We're
logical.
blaming you for Ilhan Omar winning, just to be clear.
I almost said, well, we might have to do it for Ilhan Omar, but I went, no. Brain went, no, that won't happen. Sleeper house races. Honestly,
I don't know if we can answer this because, the point of sleeper house races is that no one sees them coming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly not paying that close attention to the house. It's gonna
Why not? It's the most fun part of the night.
But it's gonna
Get
flip.
to see all the idiots.
The result is
The house has all the idiots, though, Dylan. It has all the morons.
the Senate is about to have quite a few. J.D. Vance, Blake
Oh
Masters.
God.
The Senate is going to have its fair share of idiots pretty soon.
God bless the South for not sending their idiots. The South,
Yeah, I saw a
doesn't
meme.
send their idiots.
Yeah, I saw a meme of comparing Republican nominees in the southern states and Midwestern states. And the Midwestern ones, it was the Patrick with the
board on his
board
forehead.
nailed to his head, and then for the southern states, it's Giga Chad, and that's like basically the case. Like Southern Republicans know what they're doing. Midwestern Republicans just need to stop.
The South came very close. The South, okay, they didn't come very close, but they came kind of close to nominating Mo Brooks, and they also nominated Roy Moore at one time. So
That's just Alabama. We don't. I mean, again, that's just Alabama issues right there. Right
Okay.
now, Republican Southern voters are basically based Giga Chads in terms of their nominating strategy.
and then Republicans in the Midwest are like Dr. Oz, J.D. Vance, Ron Johnson.
I mean, to be fair, we'll see what I wouldn't say the Democratic recruits have been amazing, but yeah, this is
Okay.
Yeah.
Say what you will. You know how critical I am of Democrats. If these were the recruits in a neutral year, if this were a R+0 or D+1 year, I think a lot of these candidates might have a shot. I think Fetterman would have a much better shot than he does. I don't see any world where Tim Ryan has a chance, no matter what Twitter tries to tell me. Who's the nominee in North Carolina? I'm sorry.
Sherry Beasley.
Sherry Beasley. It's North Carolina. I don't think you're going to win there. Or I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Democrats have won two federal elections in North Carolina this century, and both of them were in 2008. It's a lot harder of a state to get through than people seem to realize.
Mm-hmm. And how could I forget Herschel Walker?
Oh, fucking Christ.
Heather Green asks about Val Demings. There's no world where Val Demings beats Marco Rubio. Even in a D+8 year, Val Demings doesn't beat Marco Rubio.
You don't believe that poll that came out? You don't believe that poll?
No, I don't believe that poll. I will leave Florida and Ohio at safe R even after the Democrat has won it. Ohio and Florida are my South Carolina 2020.
I mean, to be fair, Republicans had the same issue in 2018. They had a lot of really, really good nominees in 2018 that would have done better. And
Yes.
Just off the top of my head, Newt Buell in Oregon would have been much more credible in a Republican year. What's his name? The guy in New Jersey. He would have done better in a Republican year, certainly. Not he would have won, but he would have done better. It would have been a Tim Ryan situation, probably. Like Republicans were not terrible that year. They did all right, but there's only so much you can do in that situation. Yeah, Bob Hugin.
Bob Hugin was I mean, Bob Hugin was never winning.
Right.
Even if Bob Menendez were up this year, Hugin wasn't winning.
Right, but it would have been closer. That's the thing.
If this, Heather Green asks what would be the case if this was a Trump-Pence midterm instead of a Biden-Harris.
That would be bad.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. Blake Masters would be dead in the water. Fetterman would probably be favored at this point.
But the thing is, though, like we wouldn't even know like who would run.
You don't think Blake Masters and Dr. Oz would have been the candidates?
I don't think Oz runs. I'm not so sure about Masters, but I don't think Oz runs.
And honestly, in a Democratic midterm, with the campaign that J.D. Vance is running, Tim Ryan might have a prayer.
Oh, I think, well, Republicans at this point, I think, would much prefer J.D. Vance to have run in 2018, like people had thought he should have. He probably would have lost, would not have returned in 2022 because he would have, had that reputation as a loser. So,
Yep. Well, hey, we are going to slowly start to run down. Start to run down this night here, folks. Minnesota is coming in a little bit too slow for our taste, quite honestly, in the first district here. They're coming in just a little bit too slow here for us to really want to continue to give a look at this here. In other words, right now, there's been no call yet, but it is incredibly likely that Tim Michels will be the Republican nominee here. We're going to go about another 10 minutes here until 11:15 here. We're going to go about another 10 minutes. And then we're gonna end out here.
Jacob,
so 11:15. Excuse me, 11:15.
Yeah, Jacob asks more likely Dem nominee without Biden, Harris, Buttigieg, or Newsom. Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
And no, Fetterman is not favored right now.
God, I would hate Buttigieg. I greatly dislike Buttigieg. He's like literally the opposite. Like, oh God, I do not like him.
Also, Planet Central makes a great point. Pence's endorsements have not been going well.
No, they haven't.
But is anyone surprised? Mike Pence is not dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we want some more Vermont stuff while we're here. Zuckerman has opened up a 6-point lead over Kitty Toll in that lieutenant governor primary on the Democratic side. And on the Republican side, Joe Bending is now winning by 11% in that lieutenant governor primary. This would, again, I think, point to a Zimmerman-Benning race.
Zuckerman.
Zuckerman.
How's the anti-Bernie, anti-weed legalization lady doing in the congressional race?
I'm giving it a look here. Phil Scott, 60%.
I think she's done by like 35 points.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love to see
Republicans, again, they nominated the literal rhino. Molly Gray only has 38% of the vote right now. The Republican one has been called. On the Senate side, there's not been a call yet for the Republican side. Malloy is ahead of Christina Nolan by about 6%. There's another third candidate, Myers Mermel, which is like the most waspy name ever, who is getting 18% of the vote. Gerald Malloy's at 44, Christina Nolan's at 38. Again, not a competitive race, but Republicans would like to have Christina Nolan here, just as a ploy to get Democrats to spend money. I will say that Vermont Republicans perhaps have the most unusual slate in that they have so far resoundingly renominated Phil Scott, the governor. On the lieutenant governor, they're nominating the most electable candidate, it seems. For House, they're nominating a literal rhino who is running on universal health care. And then for Senate right now, the leading candidate is a very, very Trumpy conservative who's touting his A+ rating from the National Rifle Association, United Christians for America, Veterans for America's First. He's running on a platform of illegal immigration, anti-mask mandates, pro-life. His website's not great. They would have liked Christina Nolan. It doesn't matter too much because this isn't a competitive state. But they would have liked someone else here. Yeah, sadly, this Minnesota race is counting very slowly. We had thought that perhaps announcing the entire counties as they were done would be a good idea. Sadly, it appears it is not a good idea.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Did I miss anything?
No.
No. You're supposed to be talking about how Vermont Republicans nominated the strangest ticket in the country. Or it appears they're nominating. Because they've essentially right now, like I said, I'll just repeat it just for you. Governor, completely normal governor who is going to win. Lieutenant governor, looks like they're nominating the guy who can win. House candidate, literal rhino, who is running on a very socialist campaign. And I'm not saying that as as a pejorative, like that's what he's running on. And then for Senate, they appear to be nominating the most conservative candidate in the race. So great job, Vermont. You are ideologically consistent.
Hooray.
Ole, 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 ole. Ole, ole.
Let's see. Did anything stupid come out from New York? Yeah, I know New York had a debate today.
Who knows? A lot of things could be stupid.
So apparently, this is if Vermont is, of course, Vermont is the last state, I believe, that's not sent a woman to Congress. So that would be a thing if Becca Balint is the nominee here. Apparently, just from what I'm seeing on Twitter, from a nominee from someone on Twitter, is that she is a Smith College grad who came out as a lesbian in middle school and moved to the state to teach rock climbing. So basically the most Vermonter in the world.
And in fairness to Vermont on never having sent a woman to Congress, has Peter Welch not been their congressman since women had the right to vote?
No. He's been congressman since 2006.
I know.
All right, so we got about 3 minutes left here before we call it a night. Let's hear closing statements from the two of you.
Go ahead, Eric.
I'm happy Robin Voss won. I'm happy Ilhan Omar had a close race. I think that was interesting. I would be more happy if we had some results in from Wisconsin and Minnesota in particular, but sadly that does not appear to be happening tonight. Because we live in a country that can count votes quickly sometimes, but mostly no.
Guys, can we fix this? This is unacceptable.
I know it's literally been 3 hours, but like Florida has tens of millions of people and it can count its votes in a few hours.
Well, has a lot of people.
Oh, Wisconsin has 8 congressional districts. I think they can count their votes faster than Florida if they're really putting an effort into it.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to give Wisconsin too hard of a time when New York, Arizona, and Pennsylvania all exist. But, guys, bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad Ilhan Omar survived, but can progressives please learn to spend money on television?
I believe they heard you, and they're going to be upping the budget on organizing.
Yep, that is what I said. Those are the words that left my mouth. Thanks, y'all.
In fact, just for you, they're going to boost it in organizing specifically for young voters and millennials. Big social media campaign.
No, honestly, the most on-brand thing in the world would be a TV ad asking for more organizers.
Yeah, not a TV ad promoting Ilhan Omar. A TV ad asking to come out and organize for Ilhan Omar.
That's pretty good, Dylan. That's pretty good. Thank you for that.
You need to start a firm for this. This is actually a revolutionary idea.
How has nobody done that yet?
Question.
I'm going to start selling that to progressives. No, because I want them to win, so I won't.
All right, well, folks, it's about to head off to 11:15 tonight. That's where we're going to end the stream. So, again, thank everyone for watching. We'll be back here on Friday with Elections Weekly.
And Sunday.
And Sunday. That's right, and Sunday. I'm sorry, Dylan. And Sunday. With our usual, but we'll be back here on Friday, though, with our Elections Weekly podcast. Me, Eric, and Dylan, hopefully Crash Brennets, all there will be there tonight as we wait on here for
more. Okay.
Well, as we recap the results of the night, but otherwise, thank you everyone for coming out tonight, and everyone have a good rest of your